Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Natalia Lee and I'm the author of the young adult novel Song of the Dryad right back there. It released on October 20th, so just about a week and a half ago I want to say. I am extremely excited about the love and support it's received, so thank you so much to everybody who has picked up a copy. If you haven't got yours yet and you would like to, you can buy it through Amazon, Barnes & Noble, iBooks, Books A Million, and other major book retailers. So I am going to be doing NaNoWriMo this year, obviously, as I have talked about in many of my past videos, and I have had a few requests to show you guys how I'm outlining my new novel and how I'm using Scrivener to outline said novel. So I am going to be popping kind of back and forth between chatting with you and showing you my computer screen so that you can see how I actually set up a Scrivener document. So without further ado, let's get started. So the first thing we're going to do, if you don't have Scrivener already and you want Scrivener, because that is what I am going to be using, is you can get it at literatureandlatte.com/Scrivener. So this is what their page looks like. I actually got Scrivener for 50% off when I won NaNoWriMo years ago. But this is where you can get it. They have Scrivener for Mac and they have it for Windows, I believe. Let's see. You can download a free trial. Yeah, so here we can see that they have Mac, they have Windows, they have all kinds of stuff. So this is where you can get Scrivener if you want it, because this is what I will be using today. Alright, so if you download Scrivener and you have Scrivener, the first thing you'll need to do when starting a new project is decide what type of project you want to use or what type of project you're going to be writing. So for me, I'm going to go down here to fiction, and you can see right here Jamie Gold's romance template. This is actually something that I found online and I downloaded. So you can actually go online and find different Scrivener templates to download and load, into your Scrivener in order to have like beat sheets and other organization. But for the sake of this one, I am just going to select fiction and then I am going to select novel. You can also do a novel with parts or a short story, but I'm just going to select novel. Let's see, and then down here, save as, I'm going to say, what is this? Demo file. That's what I'm going to call it. I'm going to save it on my desktop. All right, let's create this new novel. Here we go. So Scrivener will tell you a little bit about it, but I'm just going to ignore all of this because I don't need any of this. So we're going to jump right into this manuscript right here, and this is not going to be a Scrivener walkthrough. I do have like a basic Scrivener video that I did a year and a half ago maybe, so I will link that in the cards up above. So this is not a Scrivener tutorial. I can do a more in-depth tutorial. This is just simply going to show you how I am outlining my new book using Scrivener, all right? Here we are in my demo file. I am going to rename the manuscript and I'm going to call it Outline. That works well for me. And then you can see that we have a chapter and a scene. And if I was going to add a new chapter up here, I would add a new folder. Let's call it Chapter 2. And I click on Outline. You can see now I have Chapter and Chapter 2. But that's not actually how I'm going to do it. So we have my outline, and what I'm doing right now, what I'm doing for this book is different than what I've done for past books, because I picked up this book, Save the Cat Writes a Novel by Jessica Brody. I got this at Barnes & Noble a couple of days ago. Everybody's been talking about it, so I wanted to get my own copy, and I've been really enjoying it so far. So what I am working on, like as far as my skill and my craft moving forward, is still strengthening plot, and then making sure that I'm upping tension, making sure that there are enough problems for the characters to be facing. So with each new book I write, there's like a new thing that I'm trying to focus on or a new thing that I'm trying to tackle. So this time around, I am using this book. I think I'm going to do a full review on it when I've finished reading it and using it, but it has a beat sheet in it. So there are 15 beats or like plot points that are in this book that I want to hit with my new novel. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the very first beat, and let's see, the first beat is called Opening Image. So I'm going to hop back over here now to my outline. So this chapter I'm going to name Opening Image, so I know what beat that is. And then down here, let's see, I like to click on, how do I set this up? I like to do, because you can click here and type like, this is what happens here. But you can't see everything if you type a lot, so I like to change the view from corkboard to, is it outline? Yeah, I like to change it from corkboard to outline. So now you can see the scene, the synopsis, the label, and the status. So maybe for the opening image is only one scene long, and that's something that the book taught me. So I have opening image, scene 1, and then I would write what happens under the area that says synopsis. But for the sake of this video, I am just going to write the very basic summary. So, a before snapshot of your hero and their world. A before snapshot of hero and their world. So that's what we're looking for the opening image. It's only one scene. You know, of course, you could change the label over here. What I like to do is change label to day of the week, because I always plot out exactly what day everything is happening on. So I would have day of the week here, and then I would have like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, all laid out. But again, this is not a tutorial on how to do that. I'm just letting you know how I like to set it up. And then of course, first draft, and I would change this as I'm like editing and going through. So there we go. We have my opening image. Now we're going to move on to the next part. So chapter 2, I'm going to rename as Theme Stated. And then I'm going to go up here, add a new form to it. Let's see. New form, a new file, scene 1 again. So I break each of these beats or plot points down into individual scenes. So I really do pretty in-depth outlining, because I want to know exactly where my scene breaks are, what my characters are doing, what they're doing next, etc., etc. So theme stated is essentially a statement made by a character that hints at what the hero's arc will be. When we're going over here at the synopsis, you know, on my document, if I was like, okay, opening image, you know, I would type here, you know, for example, like Charlotte is walking through the forest and sees a fairy, right? And that's not what's going to happen, but that might be something that I would write there. And what's nice about the outline view is that the synopsis will grow and grow and grow, so you can read all of it. Whereas if you're up here in the corkboard view, you cannot read everything. See how it just cuts off here? So I don't like that. I like being able to see everything, so that's why I keep it on outline. So now we have our opening image. You can click this little arrow, scene 1, and then I would actually go into that scene 1 and write, you know, Charlotte is walking through the woods and sees a fairy. The fairy is pretty. Okay, like I would actually write that scene there. So this is just to give me an idea of what I'm supposed to be writing, and then during NaNoWriMo, or whenever you're writing this novel, I would actually click OK. So I'd say scene 1, here's what I'm supposed to be doing, a before snapshot of the hero and their world. Here's what I will be writing, and then I'll go in here and I'll actually write that scene down, all right? So now let's go back to outline. Let's go ahead and add a new folder. This one is going to be called, right, this is the setup. Again, add another scene to it, scene 1. Oops. But this setup could potentially take a few scenes. So maybe I'll go ahead and add another scene to it and call that scene 2. Then when I go to setup, I'll say, all right, in scene 1, set up character's life before everything changes, right? Because when we're writing a story, we have a character that has like a before, You know, their life before, and then there will be an inciting incident, and then there's the story after. So this might take a couple of scenes to do, you know, a couple of scenes to set up the character's life. Maybe that even takes a couple of chapters. But remember, we're still not at the catalyst yet. We're still not at that inciting incident. So we don't want this to take too long. All right, the fourth one, my favorite probably. This is going to be the catalyst. So this is going to be the inciting incident or life-changing, let's spell that right, changing event that pushes hero into the new world. So this is the thing that happens that changes the hero's world forever. For example, if we use Harry Potter, I would say the inciting incident is when he learns that he's a wizard and learns that Hogwarts exists, right? Because he's living a very mundane, drab life with the Dursleys before he finds out about Hogwarts and gets his letter. Afterward, after that inciting incident, he goes to Hogwarts and suddenly the real story begins. So that inciting incident or the catalyst is the thing that changes everything for our character. Once they experience that inciting incident, they cannot go back to their real world. Now, they might have some hesitation to step into their new world, and that will actually be the next plot point. That's the debate. And in short, again, I'm always breaking this down into scenes. You know, some will have many, many scenes. Some will only have a couple of scenes. It just depends. So scene 1, character is hesitant to enter new world. The purpose of this beat is to show the hero's reluctance to change. So here we have our character saying, okay, maybe I'm comfortable in the world the way it is, and they're struggling to know if they should move forward or not. But of course, in order for there to be a story, they have to move on. So I'm not going to do all of these, but this is kind of how I'm setting it up this time around. So I have my main outline. You can see that I have all of these beats or plot points that I'm going to hit along the way. And then each of those is broken down into different scenes. Now, I am not sure how I'm going to tackle chapters because this is different for me. Actually plotting out beats is different than what I did last time, because when I was writing Song of the Dryad, I plotted out chapters and then scenes within those chapters. So my idea right now is that I am just going to plan on different beats and scenes, and then as I'm writing those scenes, I can find where a good stopping point is for a chapter. Maybe I'm really upping the tension and then I want to cut off the chapter to make readers want to turn the page and find out what happens next. So I'm not absolutely certain how that's going to work because this is a little bit new for me, but this is what I'm using as of this time. So that's how I'm doing the outline. We can also hop over here into characters. Let's see, I will add a template. I'll add a character sketch. So now we have, I don't know why, oh, there we go. So now we have, up here I could say, I'm using Charlotte as my example, Charlotte Barclay. She is our heroine of the story. Excuse me. Occupation, she is a student / violin, I spelled that wrong. Violin teacher. So this is what I would use to kind of get some ideas for my characters. Again, you can also be using other methods. If you have my Preptober workbook, there is a bunch of like character exercises and character worksheets that you can fill out that also go into depth just like the Scrivener one does. Let's see, you can also go to places. This is something that I always like to do. And then do a setting sketch, name of setting. So Charlotte, if you haven't read Song of the Dryad yet, she lives in a little Colorado town called Mapleton. So maybe this would be my Mapleton, Colorado page. Put in a bunch of information so that I know what's going on. And then, if you ever need to jump back and say, oh, what was that character's, eye color? You can quickly go to your character sketch. Or, hey, exactly where was the library, in my town? You can go to your setting sketch and figure it all out. So Scrivener is great for organizing lots of things. Now, I didn't used to use Scrivener for NaNoWriMo. I used to want a very like free-form NaNoWriMo experience, so I would just use Microsoft Word. But I have gotten to a point where I want to be writing the correct story the first time around. With Song the DRYAD, I was writing the wrong story the first time. I threw away 49,000 words of the 50,000 that I wrote for Nano. So I essentially spent NaNoWriMo learning what story I did not want to tell, and that was helpful, but it was also time consuming and it pushed out the process of writing that first draft. So with this next novel, I am wanting to make sure that I'm on the right path, and I can never be certain of that. You know, when I go back through and I'm editing and changing things, there will always be something that's wrong. There will always be something that I have to change or that I have to make better in some way. So I'm not nervous about that so much as I don't want to just be writing willy-nilly. You know, some people that worked really well. For me, it does not. I'm not a pantser at all whatsoever. I need to know what my character is doing, when they're doing it, why they're doing it, and what's going to become of them because they did that thing. And this method is really working for me so far. Again, I'm getting all of these beats out of this book, Save the Cat Writes novel. I know that there's a screenplay edition. That's like the original one. I never read that. So this is my first version of this book. Really enjoying it. Will be doing a review on it likely when I am done reading it, probably in December maybe, because I will be using this throughout the month of November during NaNoWriMo. So that is the basic way that I am setting up my Scrivener document moving forward for NaNoWriMo. Alright guys, so that is it for now. It is a pretty simple setup the way that I'm doing it. This is my first time using this setup. I did make an outlining video, I don't know, last year sometime. Yeah, almost a year ago, or maybe over a year ago. Over a year ago! Wow, I've been on YouTube longer than I realize sometimes. So probably like a year and a half ago, before I had finished the first draft of Song of the DRYAD, I think, so quite a while ago. I made an outlining video, and I'm kind of building on the way that I used to outline. So I am still breaking everything down into individual scenes, figuring out everything, but the only big change this time is that instead of doing it chapter by chapter, I'm going beat by beat so that I can make sure that I'm hitting, you know, all of those like emotional turning points that are typically needed to tell a good story. Whether you're doing a screenplay, a short story, a novel, like whatever you're writing, there are certain like things that you're supposed to be hitting along the way so that the reader or the viewer is being carried along on this emotional experience with you and your characters. So that is what I am working on. I will likely be letting you guys know maybe throughout the month of November, or maybe when I do like a NaNoWriMo wrap up and let you know how I did. I'll probably be like touching back on how this method worked for me, how this outlining method either was better than my old one or didn't work quite as well as my old one, but I'm not sure how that's going to be. So this is how I'm doing it now. It's simple, it's to the point. I am currently working on the debate beat plot point. So, you know, I'm setting up my Scrivener document right now, just like I was showing you how to do yours. That's what I'm doing with mine. I'm going beat by beat, scene by scene, figuring everything out. Now, keep in mind, though, that I have been doing outlining and brainstorming before this. So I am not coming into this with zero ideas. I'm coming into this having filled out my Preptober workbook. I'm coming into this having brainstormed for a month, you know, beforehand. And that doesn't mean that that's what you have to do, but that's what I have to do. It takes me a long time to gather up like all of my ideas and then start figuring out how to tie all of those ideas together and make them work in a cohesive storyline. But however works for you, like maybe you're coming into this with no idea what to write, this could potentially still help you, because the very first chapter in here is about hero, like setting up your hero and the qualities and attributes they need to have in order, you know, for the reader or the viewer to want to follow them on their journey. So you could use this method even if you have no idea what you want to write. Again, you have to go and pick up this book to learn even more about all of the different beats. There are 15 of them. I will be doing a review on this book. Now I'm just repeating myself. Everybody, thank you so much for joining me today. NaNoWriMo is starting this Thursday. I'm filming this on a Tuesday. It's almost here, guys. It is happening. So I will be doing a live stream here on my YouTube channel on November 1st at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. I will be doing that with Brooke Passmore and Mandy Lynn. We are going to be sprinting on November 1st. We will also be sprinting on November 11th and November 30th. So kind of like breaking up the month into these 3 word sprint live streams to help all of us and to help you guys stay on track, catch up with any words that you have fallen behind on, and just kind of hold everybody accountable. So I'm excited for that. I will see you guys hopefully this Thursday for the first day of NaNoWriMo. And I hope that you enjoy Halloween or Samhain if you are celebrating. All right, everybody, have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you in my next video. Stay spooky. Bye.